What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Jake Bluvstein with us from the Bluvstein Group at Remax Connections. Jake, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us and to share your real estate journey.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
And I specifically love when I have, not that I love all of my guests, right? But specifically because you and I have been social media friends, but we've never really
hmm
interacted. I've heard the name, and I've heard other, agents and people in our industry speak of you, but this is really our
hmm
first time to connect. And I always
Yeah,
love that because I'm learning your story and your journey just
yeah,
like the audience is.
yeah. So wait, what was everyone saying about me? No, I'm kidding.
all good things,
All
all
good
good
things?
things.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
Um,
good.
but Jake, we always kick it off from the beginning, and I
hmm
always find that there's usually something that either happens early in one agent's life or earlier in their career that really has a big impact, on their real estate business or how they think about building their real estate business.
hmm
So we always start from the very beginning. What was life like for you growing up?
Growing up, I am one of four children. My dad actually passed away when I was four. My younger
Mm.
brother was 6 months old. I was second youngest at four, and then I had an older sister and an older brother. So that definitely was formative in terms of how I was raised and um, you know all that good stuff. I mean, my mom is a superhero. I don't know how she got us through all of that and got herself through all of that. But yeah, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so I was there for about 18 years until I went to school, came to Ohio State. I had some family here, and then never left.
That
Yeah.
I too came to Ohio State for school and never went back. But
hmm
I'm from Ohio, but a small town, and that was kind of my motivator was I wasn't going
Yeah.
back to the small town,
Yeah.
living and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you
Definitely.
were you into any interest, any specific interests or hobbies growing up that again, because I typically find that getting into real estate is usually not someone's first career choice, right?
hmm
It's usually the
hmm
second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever the case may be. But did you have any specific interests or hobbies growing up?
I don't know. I don't like hanging out with friends, watching movies. I don't know. I've always enjoyed cooking. I feel like, that was always good time that I got to spend with my mom. She was really busy, obviously, supporting four children on her own, but she was, one of those moms that still made dinner every night. So that was always a great opportunity for me and her to spend some quality time together. So I've always really enjoyed being in the kitchen. Um, yeah, I feel like that was kind of my main hobby. I wasn't like a big sports guy. I did volleyball and track in high school. And then I think two years I was in the musical. So,
Okay.
all over the place.
What what brought you to Ohio State? What were you specifically looking
Yeah.
for at Ohio State?
Yeah. So I definitely wanted the Big Ten feel. It was kind of between University of Wisconsin, Madison, and Ohio State. And I definitely liked that Ohio State has a campus vibe, like it's very collegiate. Here's the campus, here's the student housing. University of Wisconsin is beautiful. Madison's a beautiful city, but the city and the school are kind of intertwined with each other. So that was one thing. Um, Columbus, it's not hot, but it's a little bit warmer than Wisconsin, and winter is about a month shorter on both sides. So that was definitely um, an attractor. And I also think too, so I'm gay, and I didn't come out until college, and I think that probably played a part in it. Just kind of getting away and escaping from my past and being able to find myself in a new city, in a new place. And I think that's part of the reason why I love Columbus, because I've kind of, turned into who I am today.
Yeah.
here, and it's an extremely diverse city. It's extremely welcoming, especially to the LGBTQ community. So I love it here. Don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people about, Columbus and the real estate side is, Ohio State just they turn out so many students every single year, and a lot of those students
Hmm.
are not leaving. They're
Hmm.
creating their businesses here, or tech starting to come here, or
Yep.
they just find careers here, and because of the city. Was it any? I mean, I just feel like how you made your decision to go to college. Like for me, it wasn't even like you actually put some thought into some of that. Like I was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, a lot of my friends are going to Columbus, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
go to Akron, I didn't want to go to OU, so Ohio State was
Yeah.
it. Was
Well,
it
I
like
was
a
out of state too, so it
yeah,
was more expensive. So I had to really put some thought into it because I wasn't in a place where, my mom was paying for everything. I had to take out loans. So, I did have
yeah?
to put a lot of thought into it. But it all works
Did you
out.
end up?
Here we
What did you go for as far as a degree goes?
I went to Fisher College of Business, so
Okay,
I was a marketing major business with a
gotcha.
marketing specialization. Yeah. And
Okay,
I'm one of
and
those weird people that actually used their degree for a while. Well, I still am, but yeah.
yeah, I definitely did not. I went for 4 years and got into real estate 3 weeks after, or I went back
Oh,
to real
really?
estate school 3 weeks later, and that
That's
was
funny.
that. But so end up graduating. What year did you end up graduating?
2009.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So we're there at the around the same time. I graduated in
Okay.
2011.
Okay.
Um, what did you do after post college? Did you go
Yeah.
into the marketing field or?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I was in advertising and marketing for about 10 years, give or
Wow.
take.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I started at a pharmaceutical advertising agency called GSW. They're here in Columbus, and I was there for a couple years. Once I got everybody trained that I worked at GSW and not DSW, the shoe company, who's also in Columbus, Ohio, I went and got a job at DSW. So uh, I was at DSW for a few years, and I managed brand marketing partnerships. So I was kind of like the conduit in between our vendor brands and DSW whenever we were doing co-marketing. So Nike, New Balance, Disney, Nine West, all those brands. I kind of was the person working with them to do co-marketing. From there, go ahead.
Was that digital? Was that print? Was that or everything in
So
between?
yeah, so what I actually loved about my role is that the marketing department, I don't know how it is now, but at the time was very segmented. There was a social team, there was a CRM team, there was the, creative team, there's this, and this. But because of my role, I was kind of able to put together more holistic programs with our vendor partners. So I kind of got to work with each of those individual teams. So I dabbled in a lot of that stuff. Jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Well, it's one of those things like, I think back to it a lot, in 2009, I got into the business in 2011.
Hmm.
Even at that time, social media wasn't what it is today. It wasn't even
Hmm.
anywhere close, at least from a real estate agent standpoint, maybe from a company standpoint, but
Yeah.
Facebook really started getting big in what, 2007? Is when it
Yeah.
really started to
Yeah. I
grow,
mean,
and
you didn't hear the word influencer until, 2018,
yeah,
2017, so I mean, yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely changed for sure.
So lead me up to the decision of, so you're at GSW for a couple years, went to DSW for a couple years.
Yep.
Lead me up to the time of you making that decision of, or thinking about getting your real estate license.
Yeah. So, after I was at DSW, I was at Fusion, which is a
Hmm.
local startup.
Yeah.
It's a sushi restaurant. I was the head of marketing for that organization for a few years, and then
So
go
you put it
ahead.
on the map, huh?
I can't take credit for that.
I'm just kidding. My
I
wife loves
helped.
it.
I was part of a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
team. I was part of a team. Yes, indeed. Um, and once I left there, I kind of went off on my own and was doing some marketing consulting work. I started my own business, and I was doing that for about a year, and it was going well. But I it it gave me the confidence to start my own business. And it was going well. I just didn't love the business development piece of things, which is kind of funny because that's kind of all real estate is. But with marketing consulting, you're kind of chasing the business and you're convincing people that what you do and what, is something that they need to
Yeah.
succeed. With real estate, it's kind of like people already are selling or they're already buying, and it's really what you're really selling is yourself, right? Your
Yeah.
expertise, your personality, like so. That type of business development, I just didn't really like, and it was also very isolating. It was a lot of office time at home, and I like people. I like to talk to people. I like to meet people. Um, so that was what I did before, like right before I got into real estate. And real estate was always one of those things that was in the back of my mind, which, like, who in the world doesn't say that? Like every single person I've ever met is like, I've always thought about getting into real estate. And I'm like, oh, have you? That's great. Uh, but it really was, and I bought my first house in what, like 2015 or something like that. So I feel like that kind of put, it was maybe earlier than that, but kind of put the bug in my ear. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Whatever, we'll go with it. Um, and I don't know. It just was always something that was appealing to me. And how I kind of describe it to people is, a lot of people are like, well, I love looking at homes. I'm on Zillow every day, and so, it'd be so fun to walk through people's houses every day. I'm sure you hear that a lot too. And that's like the bare minimum of, things that you should be looking at when you're deciding if you want to get into a career in real estate. So I always say it's like, any decision in life that we make, their criteria, right? Their
Yeah.
qualifications, their check boxes.
Yeah.
And so when I really took a step back and looked at what my check boxes were for an ideal career, real estate, it's not perfect. I don't wake up every morning and I'm like, oh, I get to sell real estate. Sometimes I do. It is great. But I am passionate about it because it checks most of my boxes in terms of a career. And some of those boxes are flexibility, entrepreneurship, kind of being in charge of my own destiny, and
Yeah.
unlimited earning potential. All of those things that I kind of learned earlier in my career when I was in corporate and I was in the startup world and I was in advertising. You learn the things that you like and the things that you don't like, and the things that you don't like are oftentimes more important than the things you like. So
Yeah.
um, it just got to a point where I was like, this is something that I feel like would really, suit um, my skill set, both from like just a personality perspective, but also just from with my background and
Yeah.
what I want my career to look like.
I mean, you're spot on as far as checking the boxes. I always tell agents, because we work with a lot of, new agents getting into the business, and
Hmm.
that's one of my passions and missions, in my life is to help,
Hmm.
people that are newly licensed. But, it's not make the most money. It's like what lifestyle, what quality of life do you want to live?
Hmm.
And this is one of the industries as a entrepreneur, business owner, whatever you want to call it, that can provide that for you. Like
Yeah.
going out and chasing the most money possible, that's great,
Yeah.
and you can definitely do it. But sometimes your quality of life may suffer, or you may not have the flexibility that you initially wanted, or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be.
Let's talk about that.
And we'll
Yeah, that's
definitely
great.
get to it. But I wanted to kind of go back to Fusion and working for kind of a startup. What
Hmm.
was some of the um, maybe marketing pieces? Because I think you can take. I always look outside of real estate as ways to grow one's business, right? Like I can look
Hmm.
at different businesses and be able to take what they're doing, turn it around, and twist it into real estate. Going back to that time and really having a local startup, what were
Hmm.
some of the things that you were focusing on to get brand awareness out there? Because as agents, we're our own individual brand, right? So,
Yep.
was there any strategies or things that you guys were using at that time to really get the
Yeah.
word out?
Yeah, I mean every business is completely different, but at the end of the day, marketing, I always say there are levers, right? There maybe 50 years ago there were 50 levers that you could pull. It was, I'm going to do a mailer and I'm going to, I don't know, whatever they did
Yeah.
50 years
Yeah.
ago
Yeah.
to advertise, newspaper ads. Now there are like 500 million different levers you can pull. But I mean, I think just boiling it down, every business has its own levers, and so the restaurant industry is very different than the retail industry, but at the same time, it really comes down to brand awareness. People
Yeah.
need to know who you are if they're gonna work with you. But I also think just like I think cross-channel awareness is really important. People think that they can do one thing. They're gonna do a bus bench, and they're gonna get some business from it. And that's one thing I feel like a lot of people don't understand about advertising and marketing is that it's not, even when I was in the corporate world, that was always the struggle between marketing and finance, or even the CEO. If the CEO didn't understand branding and marketing, the CMO was always having a hell of a time trying to figure out, how do I convince this person that the stuff that we're doing that isn't super tangible in terms of results is important.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that that's important to recognize. I said bus benches, which is always kind of a funny thing. I want to do it just like to say that I did it because I think it's funny. But at the same time, too, it's like when you talk about the cross channel stuff, if you're doing a lot of stuff on social media, you're talking to the audience that already knows you. But how are you going to
Mhm.
get in front of the audience that doesn't? When we were opening new restaurants with Fusion, in Cincinnati, for example, they already had 2 or 3 restaurants there, and we were opening another one in a new location in Cincinnati. And the conversation was, how much marketing do we put into this opening? And I said, well, we treat it like any other opening. We treat it like nobody knows who we are. And, other people were like, no, people there already know who we are. We have 3 restaurants there. And it didn't turn out well because we
Yeah.
didn't treat it like it was a new restaurant.
Yeah.
So, I think you have to balance when it comes to marketing. There's customer acquisition and there's customer retention, and I think it's important to really focus and make sure that you're hitting both of those buckets, because a lot of times people just focus on one. Social media, to me, I mean, it can definitely be customer acquisition depending on how you're doing it, but for me, at least right now, it's more of a retention thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the people that are already in my sphere, in my network. It's me, reminding them who I am and what I do and why I'm the best at it. So,
Yeah. It's one of those things like it all works, right? That's why I love having
mhm,
different agents on this podcast and we talk about this type of thing is because um uh, not everyone's doing it the same. Park benches work. Like if you're specifically targeting downtown type homes,
mhm,
right? And you're showing up
mhm.
on listings and that's where your clientele is, a park bench makes sense because you have to be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Now, if
And
you're
that's the thing,
focused in
it doesn't work in isolation, is the
right,
thing.
right.
If you pay for leads on Zillow and somebody clicks on Zillow and they've even subconsciously seen your bus bench and seen their friend working with you, and you hit them in multiple areas, then all of a sudden, that bus bench is a lot more valuable.
100%. And to your point, back in the day, there was a handful of levers that agents could utilize, and now there's plenty, and there's no way to really,
Hmm.
in my opinion, track down which is the one thing that brought all of the business to you. It's a combination. It's like you said,
Hmm.
we have to show up everywhere with our
Hmm.
brand awareness,
Yeah.
and that is on someone's phone, meaning email, text, phone, call, right? We need to be showing up on their social media. We need to be showing up in their mailbox, past
Hmm.
clients, all of those things. And you mentioned customer acquisition and customer retention, and I have this conversation a lot too. Do you buy leads?
Hmm. Yeah.
I assume just from this conversation that you did, but we talked to a lot of agents that oh, I'm only SOI based, right? I only work with my sphere and my past clients. And that's great when the market's great, but even the biggest companies in the world, Apple, McDonald's, Starbucks, you name it, they're always paying for new
Mm-hmm.
customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're always paying for that acquisition and then turning them into the raving fans and the repeat clients. And I see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
agents, especially, in the last 12 months when the market shifted a little bit, because of rates that were crushing it in 2021 and now
Yeah.
are struggling a little bit because they only were all in on one thing, which was retention, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or the people that cut back when it is slow because they think they need to save money, which to a certain extent, there are times when you have to do that. But
Yeah,
marketing 101 course I took, it's like the businesses that spend more money when business is down for everyone or the economy is down or whatever, those are the ones that in the long run really thrive because when everyone else is cutting back and people are seeing them less,
yeah.
they're seeing you more. So,
So then you started and you did consultation work, right? And
hmm
found that probably really wasn't your thing with the feel of chasing the business. Because like you
hmm
said, you're always trying to convince someone that, hey, spend money with me for marketing because it will drive your business forward and get you those results to moving into real estate.
hmm
Did you have the slightest interest in real estate? Was it really just buying your first house and kind of the check boxes, or was there something else that have really caused you to kind of lean into that being the next move for you?
Um, I mean, not really. It was just always something that seemed like it would be a good fit,
Yeah.
and I there was I hate when other people say it, but like I did enjoy looking at houses when I was buying my house. It was exciting to go see different houses and, be looking online and trying to find the right one and trying to negotiate and win it. That stuff was always really exciting to me. So, I mean, I feel like there wasn't like, something like I had family in real estate or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the hardest thing too with making the leap, because that's always the hardest part, is that I spent all this time on my career, right? On
Hmm.
being a marketer, and that's what I was known as, and that's what I was good at. And so you getting over the feeling like I was throwing all of that away
Yeah.
was kind of the biggest hurdle that I had to get over to make the leap into real estate. And now in retrospect, it's like all the things I thought I was leaving behind are the things that just allowed my business to completely
Yeah.
skyrocket. So,
I
yep.
was gonna
I,
say, that career change for you was actually one of the best things, transitioning
hmm
into our business that you could have done
Yeah,
previously.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
When you got into the business, did you
hmm
have any doubters, supporters? Obviously you went to school, graduated, had your career, eventually, went into consulting, and now it's like, hey, let me go into this whole new space. Um,
hmm
did you have a lot of people just kind of cheering you on, or were there those doubters that are like, Jake, are you sure you're making the right move?
I set myself up in a pretty good way to be successful with real estate. I had money in the bank. I was realistic in terms of, how quickly I would be able to turn my real estate career into, a money-making career.
Hmm.
I was married at the time, so I had that support financially and emotionally, all those things as well. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like everyone is really, really supportive. Um, yeah, I don't really feel
What
like I
year?
had
And
many doubters, or maybe I just, blocked them out,
yeah,
cut them off.
did what year? Yeah, what year did you end up getting licensed?
I got my license in August of 2018,
Okay,
so
okay,
about a little under 5 years, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
math is hard.
Did you have instant success, struggles? Kind of lead me through, your real estate career up till today.
Yeah. Um, I feel like I mean, not instant success, but I feel like I had a pretty short trajectory of getting my business up and running. There's the first 6 months were definitely, not crazy. But I closed my first deal, I think within maybe 2 months.
Wow.
Um, my first full year, I was already making more than I had previously at any of my jobs. So I mean, I really feel like my network, um, just from being in Columbus for so long, um, and my marketing background allowed me to really kind of accelerate pretty quickly. Which
Were you always on your own when you got in, or were you on a
no, I
team?
was
What did you
I was on
focus on?
Yeah, I was on a team, which I definitely recommend for anyone who is getting into the real estate game. I don't even understand how people can be realtors without being on a team. You don't know, you get your license, you don't know how to unlock a door, you don't know how to log into the MLS to see listing. I mean, you don't know anything. You don't know where the documents are that you have to fill out. You don't know how to fill them out. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't know how to talk to clients. You know literally nothing. So, I mean, the most important thing you can do is align yourself with a mentor and a team that can support you. It also can be very, I mean, camaraderie is important. Like I said, when I was doing my consulting business, one of the things I hated was that I was just very on my own.
Yeah.
And if you get into real estate and you don't have a team, especially if you come from a background where you worked in a company and you kind of had that camaraderie, it can be really difficult. So yeah, I was on a team for I think about 2 years, and
Okay.
then went off on my own. And I think within maybe 6 months of going off on my own, I hired my first agent.
To
Um,
start building your team.
mhm,
Okay.
which there have been other agents that have come and went,
Sure.
and it's actually just me and that one agent that I first hired, which is
Yeah.
right where I want to be at the moment.
Well, you mentioned, a team, and I'm right there with you. I always tell people,
Hmm.
whether it's my team or any team, I don't care what it is, I think that you need to be on a team for at least your first 6 months to 12 months, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's not just the leads and the business. It's like everything that you just mentioned. It's the support, it's the
Hmm.
questions, it's the paperwork, it's
Hmm.
the little nuances, the in between.
Yeah,
And I was just talking to a
yeah.
newer agent today on a call, and she's like, I didn't even know that you could do that, about writing an offer. I was like, yeah, imagine. And they were at another brokerage, and I was like, that's some of the differences between,
Hmm.
is a
Yeah,
team for everyone? No, I tell everyone, like, a team's not for everyone. But I think for the first 6 months, 12 months, I think you can suffer a little bit if your personality is not team generated
yeah,
or oriented. But
yeah.
I'm right there with you. So you're there for 2 years, got business up and running fairly quickly as far as income goes.
Hmm.
How did you focus on building your business? Was it
Hmm.
all SOI in the beginning? Was it leads because you were on a team, or how did you go
Hmm.
about kind of building that clientele?
Yeah. Sphere of influence has definitely been kind of my bread and butter. Um, when I was on that team, the first year, most of my business was more lead heavy. And then it very quickly kind of swapped to being more self-generated business. And that was kind of the biggest indicator to me that I needed to leave the team because um, if I'm generating all of this business already, there are people on teams that 80% of their business comes from leads that the team
Hmm.
hands them, and maybe 20% is self-generated business. Mine was the opposite. I was 80% self-generated, 20% leads. And so for me, it's like if I'm already generating that much of my own business, I can pay for the leads and financially be a lot better off. So that's
Yeah. So you leave, and then what made you decide to go fairly quickly into building a team and leading others?
Ego.
I
uh,
love it. I love it because
it's-
honestly, that's one of the
yeah,
things I tell people that really kind of hold people back too, right?
yeah,
Is ego gets in the way of a lot of things. But
yeah. And
was
and
it
I've untangled that. Well, I think ego's part of it. I think another part of it is just, I'm an achiever. Yeah, and
mhm,
um in our society, we're in an achiever society, and you see other people, and you see so and so with their team, and all of these people, and we have social media, banging it into our heads every day that everybody else is more successful than us, and you just have this societal pressure too of more and more and more and more and more. You need to grow. You need to, so and so's doing this. Why aren't you doing this? That means you're not as good as them. So I think that is part of it. I also, a huge thing for me with starting a team is that I've always loved mentoring.
mhm,
Um, and I've always loved, sharing my knowledge and watching other people grow, and then growing from the things
yeah,
that they're learning and their skill sets. So I definitely wanted to have that. I also think, camaraderie is a big thing. Just having somebody else who's in your corner is great. Michael Arnold, who's the one agent on my team right now, him and I are really close, and he's ride or die, and I'm ride or die. We got each other's backs no matter what, and that feels good just to know that there's somebody else there. But also just from an operational perspective, if you have to be available immediately in real estate these days,
yeah,
and I want to have a life. So if I want to travel, or if I'm sick or anything like that, I didn't want to be completely on my own, because I wanted there to be somebody else that could back me up, and that I could do the same thing for them. But yeah, I mean, I think ego is a big thing, and that's something that I've been um, untangling over the last couple years, or
yeah.
actually the last couple months, I guess I could say. I'm in a place right now where I'm trying to figure out, I had this exponential growth. I made a shit ton of money, and I got burnt out. And,
Hmm.
the market slowed down significantly November, December of last year. And I kind of, I slowed down too. And I know that a lot of people will be like, in those moments you have is when you really got to push. And I did. I mean, I did my job. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
represented
yeah,
my clients well. Like, it wasn't just dropping the ball. But I needed a little time to rest after 2020, 2021, first half of
yep,
2022. Um, and now I'm in this position where it's like business is still great, but I'm tracking, and I think a lot of agents are tracking to do a lot less than they did last year. Um,
yep.
and it is an interesting, I think a lot of people in real estate, at least people who are successful in real estate, have pretty big egos. And so there's definitely this like mental turmoil where it's like, okay, if I'm not producing, if I'm not doing more, I'm a
Yeah,
piece of shit.
yeah.
Like, or I'm failing, or I'm not doing good enough. And so,
Right.
I'm in this place right now. I mean, my life in general has been a very transformative over the last year or so, but part of that is my business. And I'm trying to figure out right now, like, I could, if I wanted to, I could make a couple $1 million a year, but is it worth it? um
Yeah, yeah.
so
I mean, to me, it's always for me personally, it was always the lifestyle. Like,
mhm,
what's the lifestyle that I wanted to live, in that point of time.
mhm,
And that dictated whether, how crazy, I wanted the business to be.
mhm,
Um, because, like when you were kind of going through the exercise of deciding real estate, right? It met a lot of the
mhm,
check boxes. And I think a lot of people get into this business for one of three things. It's either they want to make more money, they want more freedom, or they want more flexibility within their schedule or within their day.
mhm,
And in real estate, money is usually that driver, right? Of like, no, I want to make more. Well, then you typically lose the freedom and the flexibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
The freedom to do what you want when you want, or the flexibility within the day. You can have all three in this business,
Mm-hmm.
but you're probably not having all three just by yourself, or even
Yep.
really a small, even really a small team, right? Um, to truly be able to step out, and that's where talking to agents about having a job versus running a business, you want to get to the point where your business can run without you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can take the week off, to go on a trip, or a month
Mm-hmm.
off, to really go on that trip. And I think that's the hardest thing because, like you said, I mean, ego is the one thing, right? It's like I talk to agents all the time. You don't have to be at every single showing. I promise you, your clients are going to be okay. I promise you, they're still going
Mm-hmm.
to love you, and they're going to come back to you if you have someone else on your team doing some of those showings for you, right? It's just all how you set it up and go about it. So,
Yeah,
but
it's setting expectations too, because I
yeah,
definitely feel like I have to be the one, but if
yeah,
you set it up in the beginning, like, hey, I'm, I'm your agent, but I have this team and it might be me, it might be somebody else, then when
yeah.
it's somebody else, you've already set that expectation.
100%. But you're right, like seeing everything on social media, or oh, this team's, going out selling 400 homes, or even, there's teams out there that sell 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 homes a year, and it's like, damn,
Hmm.
I want to get there. But what my
Do
coach
you
always
though?
tells
I
me,
don't know.
well, so what my coach always tells
Why
me
do you
is,
want to get there?
people always think that going bigger is going to solve for the problems that they currently have. The
Hmm.
problem is every time you increase your business and you go bigger, new problems are going to, be created. So he's like, the question to ask yourself is, what problems do you want to deal with?
Hmm.
Because a solo agent has their own set of problems. A team leader, small team leader has their own set of problems. A big team leader has their own set of problems. And being a broker, like when people talk about getting their broker's license, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, that sounds like the next step, but what do you really want to take on all of those
Hmm.
problems and responsibilities?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I was
So,
I'm totally gonna butcher this story. I really hope I don't. But I I this is kind of funny. I was sitting at Jimmy John's yesterday having lunch, and you know how have all the crap on the walls? They have all the
yeah,
signs and the this and the that. There's one that was at my table that was like this story that really resonated with me, and it's kind of exactly what we're talking about. And it was, talking about this fisherman in, some far away, like maybe Thailand or something, a small island in Thailand. And, he fished for 2 hours a day and he would bring home his catch and he, had enough to sell to make money, enough for his family to eat. And, he would get done fishing and he would go home and spend time with his family and take a nap with his wife. And he had some hobbies that he did, and he had time for those things. And this tourist came, and he was American, and he was a businessman, and he said, "Oh man, what you're doing, like, it's great. You're only working like an hour a day. Like, you could work, a couple more hours, and you could double your production, and you could then buy your own boat, and make more money, and." Eventually you could get your own cannery, and once that, and it was
yeah,
this whole long story about like all these steps you could do, and then you could make make millions of dollars, and in 50 years you could sell your business for millions and millions, and you could retire and you could spend time with your kids, and you could take a nap with your wife, and you could do your hobbies. And the guy was kind of like, well, I'm doing that now. Like, why do I have to put in 50 years of work and miss out on all of those years doing all of those things that I want to do to get to the same place I am right now? And that, like, I don't
yeah,
know, really, like, Jimmy John's wall art just really, really hit me hard yesterday. But I mean, that's exactly kind of just the place that I'm at right now. It's like,
yeah,
I see other agents, doing more than me. They're posting more on social media. They're listing more houses. They're doing this. And it's hard to not compare yourself to people.
yeah,
And it's something you really have to try really hard not to do because it's toxic and it's not healthy. And I think just figuring out what your goals are and it is important.
Yeah,
And if you just keep those goals in mind, then it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing. They got their own goals, and
exactly.
they can hit those.
I love the Jimmy John's wall art story. That was
Hmm.
awesome because it's one of those
Yeah.
things like
I
I
think
always
I
ask
told it
agents.
pretty well. I mean,
I I
I
thought
don't
it
think
was
it was
great.
verbatim, but like it tracked. So
I thought it
I'm
was great,
happy.
but
Yeah,
like
I'm
to
happy.
me, I always ask agents like, why real estate, right? Like you can go make
Hmm.
$100,000 in a different career. You could go,
Hmm.
make 75,000. You could go make 200,000, even starting another business, right? Well, but
Hmm.
why specifically real estate? Why real estate? What's the reason that you decided to pick this industry? This career, all of those things. And I think a lot of people struggle with answering that question,
Hmm.
as to why they're doing it. For me, I'm pretty open. Like I like helping people buy and sell real estate. Like I like it. I don't love it. To me, it
Yeah.
provided a lifestyle. But what I
It's called
found
work.
over
It's
the
called
last,
work for a reason.
yeah, but what I found though is over the last uh, 2011, so 12 years, um,
Hmm.
I love helping real estate agents find success. Right.
Hmm.
So, if you don't love working with sellers, cool, focus on buyers. If you don't love working with
Hmm.
buyers, cool, focus on sellers. If you don't love real estate, and maybe you want to go and do title or whatever, then cool, go do that.
Hmm.
But answering that question as to why do I want to be a real estate agent and why do I want to be in this industry, I think a lot of people can get a little bit more clear on that, and it may open up some new ways for them.
Yeah. Well, and people really need to, I mean, people think that real estate is easy money
Yeah,
and they think that it's fun.
yeah,
It can be. It
yeah,
definitely can be. But it's also the most like mentally, I mean, you can be at the highest high to the lowest low within like 5 minutes. And like people before they get into real estate, like you really need to look at your personality. Like not only if you're bubbly and you like, I mean, I've seen people who have gotten their real estate license and they don't like people. They don't,
yeah,
they're introverted. They don't like, meeting new people. They don't like talking to people. They get nervous when they meet strangers. A lot of people get into real estate that just don't like look at your personality.
yeah,
I think that's huge.
yeah.
Um, I feel like there's something else I was going to add to that, but it's gone. So if it's important, it'll come
It'll
back,
come.
right?
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Yeah.
Jake, I know we got a couple minutes left. I want to kind of fast forward and start looking into the future of where you want your business to be.
Uh-huh.
What's something that you're looking to accomplish over the next 12 months?
Over the next 12 months, I think I want to operationalize my business and my schedule a little bit more. My my kind of path in real estate was pretty It was pretty easy. Like my business grew pretty, I mean, it wasn't easy. I worked my ass off, but
Right, right, right.
like I don't know, like I had a great network. I had a good team that I was on, I have the skill set that allowed me to grow really quickly and my business grew so fast that I didn't really have to focus on the structure behind it,
Yeah,
and now I'm getting to the point where if you plateau, like you can only do so much before you burn out,
hmm,
and so that's kind of where I want to figure out some stuff this year. And I think part of that too is, goes back to the ego thing. It's like I can do anything myself kind of person. I can do it better. I can do it quicker. And, I mean, um, I need to get some help if I want to be able to grow. And really at this point, it's like I'm the only person in my way. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think I'm in a place now, just personal crap over the last 6 to 12 months has just really beat the hell out of me. So I've kind of given myself some grace, but now I'm to the point where I'm kind of getting my feet back under me and I really want to just be a little more accountable. I'm actually considering hiring a coach, which I've never thought about before because I'm like, I'm doing great. Why do I need a coach? But I really need some help figuring out, how I know what my goals are, but I
Yeah.
don't. My goals are different than what they were the past couple of years, which the past couple of
Yeah.
years has just been make as much money as possible and just keep cranking it out. And now my goals are, have that freedom, have that flexibility, still make the money, but find that balance. And my personal skill set is not that. My personal
Yeah.
skill set is just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um my that's my goal, is to just kind of figure out how I can operationalize things where I can still do the business that I want, but and grow it without being completely burnt out.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah.
What are you looking to accomplish in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, retirement would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that.
Um,
I like that.
I I don't know. I think I'm figuring that out still right now. I think that's changing. Um, so I don't have a good answer for that.
Hey, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine. You don't have to have an
yeah,
answer.
yeah.
What
I don't think that far ahead.
no, well, this next question then is really going to have you thinking.
Mm,
What's a legacy goal for you?
yeah.
What's something that you're looking to hit when you're no longer here?
Hmm. I mean, I think that um, how we treat people has a butterfly effect. It has a ripple effect, and um, I think treating people with kindness and making other people's lives better starts that ripple effect that can go well beyond you're here in the physical form. So I feel like I don't know exactly what it is, but I think just being a really good person that makes really big impacts on people's lives, and even small impacts
Yeah.
that just kind of reverberate for a very long time, I think is what I would like my legacy to be. I don't know.
There's and I know Kim Mills, but
I have no clue who that is.
she hosts our book club every month,
Yeah.
and we just got done reading the book called The Gift of Influence. I think you would like that one.
Mm,
I don't know if
okay.
you're a reader or not, but it's by Tommy Spalding, called The Gift of Influence. But
Hmm.
it talks about just that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll check it
Jake,
out. I'm just learning how to read, so
reading wasn't a it was not a strong suit for me, and I hated it when I
yeah.
got into this business. But I
Yeah.
actually found that I love it because it's that growth. It's that mission to always be growing, right? It's
Yeah.
business, personal, whatever.
Hmm.
So, Jake, one last question for you, and we always end the podcast with this one. But if you could give the audience one piece of advice that either you wish you had when you got into the business, or one that you always talk to other agents about, what would that be?
Yeah. I might give you two. One, and this is anytime I mentor anybody inside or outside of real estate, or just comes up in conversation, I I think that you have to ask for what you want to get it.
Mm,
Nobody else in this world, except for maybe your mom, is thinking about you and your wants and needs all the time. And people get really upset that things aren't happening for them, but they're not asking for it. So I think that that is a really big thing. I think specifically with regards to real estate, and being newer in real estate, just everything that everybody's telling you to do, just do it. Like you keep calling even though nothing's coming to fruition. And I think one of the big things is when you want to give up, because everybody new in real estate gets to the point where they're like, why am I doing all of this? This is so stupid, and I just want to quit. There are people that quit and there are people that don't, and the people that really push through when everything seems dire and everything seems doom and gloom and it doesn't seem like it's going to work out, the people that just keep going,
Yeah.
usually when you get to that point where you feel like this is all over, it's not working out, is right before it really takes off. So just push through that uncomfortable, those uncomfortable feelings of failure and doubt, and just keep doing what people are doing, which is probably going to be call people, follow up, like all do open houses, just keep on getting in front of people.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. I mean, spot on. I mean, spot on with both of those. I always tell people, like, real estate's it's hard but simple,
Hmm.
right? We like to make it even harder than what it really is.
Hmm.
We like to make it a little bit more complex than what it really is. But at the end of the day, it's a contact sport, and the more people that you connect with to talk
That's
to
it.
about real estate, whether it's new people or people that you need to follow up with,
Yep.
at the end of the day, the more people that you have those conversations, the more business you're going to
Yeah,
have.
exactly.
And it's
I
that
try to
it's
fit it into every single conversation, and it's not like I meet somebody and I'm like, "Hello, I'm a realtor," but you go to a party, one of the first things people, ask you about, or you ask people about, is what do you do for work? So there
Yeah,
you go, easy in. Or, oh, where do you live? Oh, I just sold a house right there. Oh, you're a realtor. There's ways to fit it into
yeah.
every single conversation in a natural and organic way, and that's huge.
Yeah, and I think some people have the skill to where that's a natural conversation segue, and I think
Hmm.
some people, like myself, like, I'd have to practice that. I could do it
Hmm.
now way easier than when I got into the
Hmm.
business, 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but if you need to practice it, then practice it, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's easy ways that you could slide that in, real estate in, without puking on people, right? About, I'm an
Mhm.
agent, I'm an agent, I'm an agent. But that could be a skill set that you work on, to where every conversation in a social setting could potentially lead to a real estate conversation, some way, some shape, some form. So
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
um, no, Jake, I appreciate you jumping on,
Yeah.
today, and sharing your journey. For those that are watching down below, his office phone number is down below. Make sure you guys reach out to him if you're looking about selling, buying, or, just another agent in the business that just wants to, pick his brain on what's going on in the market, and real estate in general. Reach out to him. But for Jake, for everyone that is listening in on the podcast, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Yeah, this phone number right here, is the number to call. 614-414-2119, and then it should be option 1 to get in contact with me, or option 2 if you wanna work with Michael on my team. That's the best way to reach us.
No, I love it. Jake, thanks so much for today and for your
Yeah.
time. If I could
Thank
do
you.
anything for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is fun.
All right, I'll talk to you here soon.
All right. Bye-bye.